Hello, you're watching the Crypto Roundup on Proactive. Billy Farrington here with all the latest news. Billy, good to speak with you again. How did Bitcoin fare this week?
Hi, Stephen. Good to see you again. As you can see with my garb, it's casual Friday. And I think that's very reflective of how the markets have performed this week in the cryptocurrency space. I mean, things fared pretty well, but it was not exactly a dramatic week, so to speak. We generally saw green candlesticks throughout the week, generally saw incremental price rises throughout the past 7 days, to be honest. Particularly Monday, where we saw a 4% rally on the Bitcoin dollar pair, which was pretty good. Now, this is likely largely due to a weakening of the US dollar, which we can in turn attribute to elevated expectations of a speeding up of rate cuts from the US Federal Reserve, obviously. And obviously, as the quote currency on the Bitcoin dollar pair, weaker dollar naturally means stronger Bitcoin prices. It's really just a technical thing, so to speak. Riskier markets like Bitcoin naturally benefit from an easing of monetary policy, like we are potentially going to see next week. Because it just indicates a bit more of like a risk sentiment in the market, given the fact that traders are going to get less money from just holding their cash in a money market or what have you. So, generally supportive of Bitcoin, this pending rate cuts trend that we are likely to see going forward. And that's sort of supported the Bitcoin prices a little bit. But the way we're looking at things now hasn't really been a dramatic bump upwards. We're looking at about $57,800 on the Bitcoin dollar pair. That's about 2.8% higher week on week. What I will say is, I think that $60,000 mark is going to be the real resistance point and the real testing point for the bulls. Now, Bitcoin has failed to surpass that $60,000 mark for nearly 3 weeks now. And it has shown a tendency to kind of get rejected around that point in the recent past. So I reckon that might be what the bulls have up on their whiteboard as their near-term target. Now, whether they achieve that or not, who knows? But that's where we're at right now.
Hmm. So no dramatic bump upwards for Bitcoin, but we did see gold at an all-time high. Does that mean anything for Bitcoin?
Yeah, you're right. Gold did hit a new all-time high, about $22,580 US an ounce the last time I checked. So, yep, at an all-time high. Perhaps for some of the same reasons as Bitcoin recently, because obviously the weakening dollar, and obviously it's measured in dollars, right? Simple as that. Sort of a technical reason. But just because Bitcoin's called digital gold in some circles, it's kind of they're fundamentally different in many regards. If anything, gold's really strong price right now could actually be like a bit of a sort of a worry for Bitcoin because typically I'm not a massive gold guy, but from typically from what I understand, gold is looked at the safe haven asset where investors will park their money if they don't want to bet on the riskier markets like Bitcoin. So to me, record high gold prices means there is still a lot of risk off sentiment in the market right now, which potentially could be a problem for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has decoupled from gold this year as well. Obviously, we're seeing gold just sort of go up and up and up, and Bitcoin it hit a record high in March, and it's sort of just gone down since and trended sideways. So there is a genuine decoupling from gold going on at the moment.
Billy, what do you have your eye on next week?
Oh yeah, that's easy. It's obviously going to be the interest rate cut call from the U.S. Federal Reserve on Wednesday. It's I mean, generally it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to see a cut, which will be the first cut since July 2023, if I recall correctly. Hey, look, nothing's set in stone. Maybe they'll hold, but that is very unlikely, given the fact that inflation has come well down. The employment market is really cooling off in the US. So that has just really set the stage for a rate cut. The question remains is how big a cut, 25 basis points, 50 basis points. The odds are on a 25-point cut. But 50 points is not out of the question. They haven't reduced rates for over a year now. The economy is starting to cool off. It kind of sets a stage for a quite strong pivot to a more relaxed monetary policy. So we will find out next Wednesday. And what that could mean for Bitcoin. Well, a bigger cut would, I would assume, be quite supportive of Bitcoin and perhaps the equities markets as well, given that might promote a little bit more risk among investors. So yeah, next Wednesday is going to be quite essential for the near-term future of the markets. Again, 25 basis point cut, likely 50 basis point cut could galvanize the bulls a little bit.
And hopefully get Bitcoin back above that 60,000 resistance level. Billy, thanks very much for your insights as always. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Cheers.
That's Proactive's Billy Farrington.